Yet, I am a number, counted 13 times a day. Flashlight to the face at 3 a.m. Thanks, I don't need REM sleep after all. No, I'm not dead. Yet. 10 a.m. How can you lose me at work, officer? Everyone knows that I work. Everyone knows where I work. Everyone knows I only miss work for writing class. I don't even go to medical unless I'm hacking up a piece of lung. No, I'm not dead. Yet. Of course I got on the count sheet. I've been doing this for 20 years. That's at least 16 more than you. Which of us do you think screwed that up? Institutional recount. I am a number counted 14 times today. Back to work, finished the day, then came home for a family moment with my crew. Only a moment then. Count time. I'm a small box on that piece of paper, in the sheet protector, on your clipboard, erroneously crossed out with a China marker. I'm no more than that. Not to them, not to you. But no, I'm not dead. Yet.
The voice you just heard was of a woman named Jax. Jax is serving a life sentence at Mabel Bassett Correctional Center, Oklahoma's largest prison for women. Every Tuesday night, I and 3 other volunteers from Poetic Justice go to Mabel Bassett, and we live poetry with the women there. We write, we laugh, we cry, and we share life together. Does writing have the power to change someone's life, even someone in prison? When the voiceless one finds her voice, she finds herself. And in the middle of the most unsafe place, prison, hope is born. And with hope comes power to change. I'd like you to meet some of the poet warriors that are in our classes at Mabel Bassett and the Tulsa County Jail. Tina is serving a 40-year sentence. She's a class encourager. When the women share their poems, Tina says things like, "That was amazing. You said something in words that we all feel," or, "You were completely honest and that took courage. Thank you." Tina wrote about the only safe space she had ever known, and it was in the woods behind her house in an opening that smells like wet dirt. Later, when Tina wrote a letter to her younger self, we understood for the first time why the only safe space she had ever known was an opening that smells like wet dirt. She wrote, "Dear baby, your mama's drinking is going to get worse before it gets better. Your daddy will come home. He won't be clean, but he will be home. When he and mommy are fighting, you have to be a big girl and hide your sister under the bed to keep her safe. You know when mommy and daddy are fighting to stay out of it, but at the same time, you know it's not fair when mommy can't see that she's about to get hit. So you have to be brave and stand in front of her and beg daddy to stop." Ariel will be in prison for a long time. She struggles with depression, regret, and self-hatred. She told me that writing is the strongest weapon she has to defeat the demons that torment her. Ariel is a cutter. The Mayo Clinic defines cutting as non-suicidal self-injury, the act of deliberately harming the surface of your body in order to cope with emotional pain, intense anger, and frustration. Ariel wrote, "What it's like to be a cutter for those of you who don't know. It's like dancing ballet with pain. It's falling in love with the asphyxiation of your agony. It's finding yourself in the hollow clutches of pulsating lunacy. It's finally feeling something real and being petrified it will go away. It's making sure it doesn't. You watch your skin open up and let go the breath you've been holding. You're sweating, you're shaking, you're fine. You become docile, and the light of your eyes returns to hide the intimacy of your failure. It's knowing you're being reduced to scar tissue and believing the lie that pain will always be beauty because it's the only thing that stays the same. Ariel has a top bunk in her cell with a very small window. She told me that if it was just at the right time of the month and the sky was clear, she could see the moon. She also told me that prisoners aren't allowed outside at night, and she hadn't seen the stars in years. She wrote an ode to the moonlight. I see you there illuminating the obsidian sky, liquid rays of silver light glistening in the darkness. I miss you there when you're gone, dwindled forcefully, inevitably into nothing. But such is your life and mine too, until we both become full again, incandescent and alive. Lisa is a Native American of the Shawnee tribe. Her safe place was the Shawnee Dance Grounds, where she would go with her family every year. The name of her poem is Tatakwa no Mena, which is Shawnee for dance ground. Tatakwa no Mena, down a dirt road so winding, away from the outside world, alone and hiding. A dance ground is alive and breathing life into its people. Fire dancing as if choreographed by God. Wood popping, smoke penetrating all in its path. The long, sturdy table filled with food galore, kids laughing and playing till they can't play no more. Family and friends catching up since the last dance, making the ground smile by fulfillment. I feel like I've won the lottery to be born into this. Tatakwa no Mena, I am home. Last, I'd like you to meet Olympia. Olympia was in one of our first classes at the Tulsa County Jail. When we came in the room that night, she was sitting at the back, arms crossed, exuding anger, looking directly into my eyes. We were writing that night about stereotypes other people have of us, and stereotypes we sometimes put on ourselves. When it was Olympia's time to share, she came to the front of the room, stood, waited, looked each of us directly in the eyes, and then said, "What it's like to be a flamboyantly gay Latino man trapped in the body of a sardonic Black woman." Well, the room was transformed in that moment, and Olympia was no longer angry. Later, when she was sentenced to prison, I would go visit her, and we would exchange letters. Olympia is a gifted poet. Then last November, I and another volunteer went to pick her up when she was released from prison. She is now on our board of directors, and she's my dear friend. Fact. The United States has less than 5% of the world's population, yet over 25% of the world's prison population. Fact. Over the last 25 years, Oklahoma has had the second highest incarceration rate in the country. Fact. Oklahoma incarcerates more women per capita than anywhere else in the country, than anywhere else in the world. Fact. Over 90% of women incarcerated in Oklahoma have been victims of some kind of sexual or physical abuse in their lifetimes. Fact. The majority of incarcerated women in Oklahoma are nonviolent, first-time offenders. Fact. The majority of women incarcerated in Oklahoma are mothers. In a data-driven world, telling someone that writing has the power to change someone's life, even someone in prison, can sound naive, or even ridiculous. But Paulo Freire, in his book, The Pedagogy of the Oppressed, writes, human existence cannot be silent. To speak a true word is to transform the world. It is by speaking their word that people transform it and achieve significance as human beings. Fact, the last chapter of each of our lives has not yet been written. We start every poetic justice class with asking the women how we can make the space we're in a safe place for them to write and to share their writing. And in every class, in every jail, in every prison, they always come up with the same rules. Respect each other. No judgment. What we say here stays here. They call it the Las Vegas rule. And respect ourselves. Next, we have an icebreaker. One of my favorites is, if you could have one thing to eat for the rest of your life, what would it be? Well, when we asked that question at the Tulsa County Jail, which is a temporary holding place for most of the women before they're either sentenced to prison or released, they almost always answer with what they want to eat right now. Fast food, pizza, a burger, fried chicken. When we ask that same question at Maple Bassett, where most of the women have been for years, they give us the entire menu, how they would cook it, who they would eat with, and where they would have their food. So a steak is no longer just a steak. It becomes a prime cut of a ribeye steak, lightly seasoned with salt and pepper, grilled to a perfect medium rare over hickory smoke, served with a crisp cold salad and a dry red wine. Next, we breathe. Sounds easy, right? But we intentionally breathe. And this is a really good way for all of us to reset from where we were to the space that we're in. Next, we begin to write. We offer up the topic for the day, we brainstorm on the whiteboard, and then the women sit down to write. And when we write, the room transforms. It's no longer volunteers and prisoners. We're just women sharing life together. And something even more inexplicable happens. The whole world seems to compress into the room that we're in. And in that space and in those moments and in that world, we're all free. Words become more than words as they're written, erased, and written again until they become life and power and truth. The room is utterly silent except for the sound of pencils writing. And it is a sacred space. When it's time for the women to share their poems, they have three choices about what they want to say. They can either get comments, questions, or silence, or whatever. Almost always the women say whatever. Recently, at Maple Bassett, one of the women shared a poem. It started, "What it's like to have a mother who was a drug addict and committed suicide." As she read her poem, she began to weep. When she finished, woman after woman came up to her. One came up and said, "I'm a recovering addict." Another woman said, "My mother was an addict." Finally, the last woman to come up said, "I am a recovering addict, and I've been clean for 5 years. I'm going to be released in 2 months from prison. And from the first time tonight, I realize what my addiction has done to my children. I will never go back to that again." Does writing have the power to change someone's life, even someone in prison? Yes. Yes, it does. Because when the voiceless one finds her voice, she finds herself. And in the middle of even the most hopeless and unsafe place, hope is born. And with hope comes the power to change. We finish every class with a short meditation. And this is a way to transition from that space that we're in back out to the pods where the women live or to the yard. And I'd like to ask you to join in the meditation with me tonight. So sit comfortably, and if you would, close your eyes. I want you to listen and find in your memory the sound of a voice of someone you haven't heard from in a long time. It could be that that person is someone you've lost contact with, or someone who's no longer alive. Their voice is still alive in your memory. Can you hear it? If it were a dark room, would you be able to pick out that voice and know who it was? What is that person saying to you? I miss you. I love you. I'm so proud of you. Now open your eyes. You have a voice like that voice that is unique in the world. No one has ever had your voice before. No one will ever have your same voice again. And when your voice becomes words that you write, no one's ever written those words like that before, and no one will ever write them in that same way again. Your voice matters. Your words matter. They have power to change you, other people, and the world. Thank you.